Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And as members of the Assembly might suspect, I have an interest in this particular bill.
Agreed.
And I'd like to thank the Minister of Labour for bringing this forward, and I am rising in wholehearted support of this bill. Mr. Speaker, I am still a somewhat delinquent in my attendance member of the Border City Rotary Club, but one of the principles of Rotary is that we have representation from a wide range of professions through which our members in our club get to know about professions, and when issues arise, quite often we turn to those professionals and ask them for some insight into this. I'll give as an example, a few years ago there was an issue where a chiropractic adjustment had resulted in a patient suffering a very serious complication. And so we turned to the chiropractors within our club to get some further information about that specific incident. So in some ways, I feel that today we're doing something a little bit similar, or at least I would ask the honourable members, my colleagues here in the Assembly, to allow me to provide some insight and some context into this piece of legislation from the point of view of a veterinarian. I'm very proud to be a veterinarian. I said that last week, and I continue to be very proud to be a veterinarian. Our profession is one that somewhat paradoxically is one of the most respected professions in survey after survey after survey. Becoming a politician was a real adjustment for me because in those same surveys, politicians do not fare nearly as well. But I will say, Mr. Speaker, that I remain very proud to be a veterinarian, and as a politician, I do endeavour, wherever possible, to not besmirch my profession in my conduct here in the House. Animal health technologists, please do not call these folks technicians. They're technologists. There is a very significant difference. And if they're called technicians, as I have occasionally made the same error myself, you can sometimes expect a very well-deserved retort. Animal health technologists are professionals in every sense of the word. I have had the privilege of working alongside animal health technologists through most of my career, although I will confess that when I first graduated in 1983, the practice I worked with did not have the fortunate nature of having an animal health technologist in its employ. We had a nurse who had been trained in human medicine but also had a lot of experience working around horses, and she adapted a lot of her training to what we were doing. But over time, and thanks in no small part to the excellent training programs that we have at a number of colleges here in Alberta, at Olds College, at NAIT, at Lakeland College, and also at Fairview College, we have some of the top programs in the country for training animal health technologists. It's a 2-year program, it's a very rigorous program, and it also involves a practicum period of a minimum of 4 weeks working in a veterinary hospital. And I have had literally dozens of these students come through my hospital. It is always fun to have them. I always really enjoy it, and these technologists go on to work in practices, but not just in veterinary practices. They work in a number of other applications. They sometimes work in research facilities. They sometimes work in animal production facilities. Animal health technologists are also at times employed in places like feedlots and hog production. Now, in that context, they're not under the direct supervision of a veterinarian and therefore are somewhat more limited in their activities. But I can tell you that the animal health technologists that I had the privilege of working with were better at starting catheters, were better at getting blood samples, were better at taking x-rays, and could do a lot of the work in practice that is so important. And again, I cannot speak highly enough of them. Now, there have been some concerns that have been expressed by some members. The honourable member from Carson-Tabor Warner expressed some skepticism. And I always wonder where that skepticism starts. Does it indeed start with the stakeholder group, or are there just questions in the stakeholder group that is then fanned by the official opposition? That's a question that I sometimes have to ask myself. I will tell you that veterinarians have been working with the AAAHT, the Alberta Association of Animal Health Technologists, for the last decade to bring a greater sense of unity between these two professional groups. And in fact, in 2011, 5 years ago, at our annual general meeting of the Alberta Veterinary Medical Association, a motion was passed to bring AHTs into our profession as full members, and also to have them sit on the ABVMA Council as full council members. So this has the support of veterinarians. Now, it's probably, I would say, that you could probably find a veterinarian or two out there that probably doesn't think it's a good idea. But I think, like any professional organization, at some point decisions have to be made. In our profession, those are made out at annual general meetings. And at the annual general meeting in 2011, it was duly voted on to proceed. And in fact, the activity of the Alberta Veterinary Medical Association, along with the AAAHT, working with the government, working with the past government to bring this about, has been ongoing since that time. So it has the support of veterinarians. This measure would bring technologists into the fold. You know, the animal health technology field is one that has developed a great deal in the last 35 years. The AAAHT in Alberta was formed in 1977. But the profession of animal health technology dates back well before then. And in fact, if you were in the UK, these individuals are known in the UK as veterinary nurses. And they work very much in the same capacity as AHTs do here. But they are known around the world. And there's even now specialization in a wide variety of specialized disciplines for animal health technologists, including small animal clinical practice, neurology, dentistry, orthopedics, and a wide variety of other fields. I do wish to take, though, Mr. Speaker, some issue with a point that was raised by the Minister of Labour and reiterated by the member from Spruce Grove, St. Albert, and has to do with the potential for this bringing more women onto the board of the ABVMA. Veterinary medicine is already a profession that has undergone a significant transition in the last 30 years. And there is no need to worry about adequate representation of women either in our profession or on our board. In fact, when I graduated in 1983, our class had an equal number of men and women in our class. We had already achieved gender parity back in 1983. There has not been a class graduated from the University of Saskatchewan since that time that has had more males than females. And in fact, there have been a couple of classes at the Western College of Veterinary Medicine in Saskatoon that have had 100% females in the class. Now, this has been achieved without quotas. This has been achieved without any specific artificial means to increase the participation of women in the profession. It is simply because women have qualified on their merits and been chosen in one of the most competitive colleges to get into, more competitive than medicine, more competitive than dentistry. It is harder to get into vet school than just about any other faculty. There are usually 6 or 7 qualified applicants for every seat in most veterinary colleges, and that situation hasn't really changed much since the opening of the University of Calgary School of Veterinary Medicine, which I'm proud to say up until just very recently, the dean of which was a classmate of mine. So, Mr. Speaker, the suggestion that the animal health technology, bringing them onto council, and yes, 98% of animal health technologists are in fact women, but right now, our ABVMA board and its 12 members has 5 women and 7 men. We have had many, many, many female presidents of the ABVMA, and I'm actually very proud to say that this is a profession where women and men have enjoyed, I think, equality for a number of years. And I say that with a certain amount of pride because my wife is also a veterinarian, and we met at vet school. And that maybe had something to do with the equal numbers of men and women. No, there was not horsing around, but thanks to the member from Calgary-Lougheed. I will say, Mr. Speaker, that while we can talk about a lot of things in this debate, I would really urge members to not say they like this bill because it will increase the number of women on our council, because that gives the impression that our council is a number of old guys like me who are sitting in darkened rooms smoking and playing poker at night. And no, that wouldn't be accurate either. But I will say, Mr. Speaker, that is a relic from the past, and that while veterinary meetings in the 60s and 70s occasionally may have looked like that, I can tell you we have moved a long way forward since then. And I would ask both the Minister of Labour and others who speak to this to recognize the fact that our profession has already moved forward a long, long way, and to put a fine point on it, we didn't need the government's help with that. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm proud to support this. I am proud to bring animal health technologists directly into our profession. I quite frankly think that this is a potential model for other professions. Having worked somewhat in the healthcare field, I sometimes note with a certain amount of sadness that there is a certain amount of tension between different professional qualifications within the healthcare field. I don't think that serves us well in human healthcare. That separation, that tension does not exist in veterinary medicine. In veterinary medicine, we enjoy a level of respect and cooperation. Our practices function as teams, and from the veterinarians to the animal health technologists to everyone else working in these practices, we all have the concern of the comfort of the patient first and foremost, ahead of all other considerations. And I know that that is something that we strive for in human medicine as well. This is a good bill. This is a bill that I would never say, let's get this done quickly, because I don't necessarily cater to the idea that we have to rush any piece of legislation through. But if you want the opinion of a practicing veterinarian or a former practicing veterinarian who is a member among you who can provide some context to what this bill would mean to our profession, I will tell you without hesitation or reservation that this would be a good thing for our profession. It would be a good thing for not only the veterinarians but also the animal health technologists in our province. And because it is our sworn duty to promote and preserve animal health in our province, and through that also preserve and promote the health of the entire society, I think that members should all consider supporting this bill and moving ahead and supporting Bill 13. So, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member.